when you sit down and actually literally plan out your hours. Some people do it in half-hour sections, some people do it in hours, but you want to be saying to yourself, this is what you're going to be doing with the different hours. And it again, it should be touching the varying things that matter the most to you. So your family, your friends, and remember it's physical distancing, not necessarily social, not necessarily, it's not social distancing, right? So when am I going to make contact with my friends? When am I going to make contact with my family? Is worship important to you, your spiritual life? When am I going to go and make my time for my actual study? When am I going to make contact with my lecturers, with my advisors? Maybe I need to ask my CSAs to make contact with whoever it is that is necessary. Maybe I need to just contact them to say, who is the best person to ask for assistance from about anything? You know, maybe do I need to contact placement and career services about helping me with my resumes? Do I need to contact the faculty office? This is what planning is all about, right? And in order to do this, you need to have that time set to plan. And that becomes critical. If it's even a half an hour to say to yourself, what do I need to get done? And then you're going to break down your week, your day. Some people don't have the capacity, and that's fair as well, to say I'm going to plan the entire week. But get up in the morning, maybe you're doing it at night, to plan for your next day. What do I need to get done the next day, right? You might need to break it down when it comes down to your courses. What do I need to do for each course? Which course am I not doing so well in right now? I need to probably put more time in this particular course. These particular courses, do I feel like I am failing in this course? Then I'm going to need to give this course a bit more time, maybe 3 or 4 more hours each week. That's the kind of thinking you need to do, right? The multitasking. Do not multitask unless you absolutely have to. Because when anytime you are doing more than one thing at once, you are taking away time from one thing. And then you are there. It's how best to explain is I always say it's like trying to separate 100% of your time into the different things when you can be giving 100% to one thing. You don't want to multitask when you don't have to, right? So you want to be giving all of your time to one assignment, all of your time to one lecture, all of your time to one session, and dedicating all that attention so that you're giving your best self to that one thing, so that you're getting the best grade, the best results, at all of you is being put into that one thing. It's like a relationship. Well, I hope you're giving your all in one relationship, and it should only be one relationship, folks. Please God, I don't know what you're doing, but that's the kind of thinking we want.
Hold on,
right?
Ms. Morgan. Somebody in the chat just says they're not hearing you. And Marisha has her hand up. Well, she lowered her
I'm not going to see the hand because I'm sharing. Tell me if you're seeing that. Which hand?
So, Frederica, are you able to hear me or Ms. Morgan? If you guys are able to hear us, can you please raise your hand so we can know? Okay.
Let me come. Oh, hold on.
Okay, people are raising their hands, so they're able to hear us. Okay, you can lower your hands. Okay, she's saying hello. Hi. I'm going to
the chat.
Yeah. Somebody else posted in the chat since it's sharing screen. It has been really hard trying to manage doing my assignments and also helping my 3 siblings who are all in secondary school. How do I find the balance between their work and mine? Somebody else, I don't think I even try to manage my time every day. I just set 5 things relating to school that I do outside lectures and try to complete as much as possible.
All right, so let me run through this because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just finish this, and then I'm going to take all the questions for the last. I wanted to take all the questions for the last half hour or however long we're going for. Because remember, we're going to have that interactive session after. Then we're going to look at the hands and so on. I can't see the hands while I'm sharing this, unfortunately. Is that okay, guys? You're seeing the hands while I'm doing this, Christina?
I'm able to see the hands and the chat.
Let me see. Hold on. Participants. Okay, yes, I can see. Let me open up everything here. I see Amoy and Jovita.
All right, Frederica and Amoy, are you able to hear us now? Because I think you exited and rejoined to be able to hear us. So if you're able to hear me, can you raise your hand or post it in the chat? Okay, Amoy raised her hand, so I think she's now able to hear me. Frederica?
Okay, yeah.
No.
Frederica?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, great.
All
You
right.
can continue, Miss Morgan.
Let me minimize everything. Give me a second here. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Where was I? Right. So I was just talking about the multitasking. Right. So I'm just going to finish this. I only have one more thing. Yeah. Just going to run through this and then we'll get to the questions or so on. Right. So the setting up of virtual office, pretty standard. And again, this could be challenging because, of course, not everyone has the capacity to do this. Right. I don't have a virtual office at home. It's really just seeing how best you can find a space to do your work at home, right? And you'll see the one right after it, the blocking out distractions. Again, this can be challenging because you are home, right? And not everyone here, I don't know if everyone here is at home alone. I know some persons have their own spaces, but you want to have a space as best as possible. It might be a corner in your room for those of you who have your own rooms, that kind of thing, or having probably like, and a lot of persons are using like their what you call it, the dining table, that kind of thing. But it's making a space that you feel as comfortable as you can be in the space where you are at right now, right? It might not be ideal, that we're not saying it's the best space for you right now, but you want to be as comfortable as you can be. I've been saying to students, if you those of you who know my office, you're trying to make it as homely as possible. So even if it's your kitchen table, if it's your bed, if it's the floor of your room, you might want to be packing books around you so you feel like it's a library for those of you who like to work in the library, that kind of thing. You're making it as homely as possible. That's what you're doing. And the blocking out of distractions is really you being very deliberate, especially those of you who are like auditory learners. You know that if you hear any music or you see people passing by, for the visual learners, you are going to be easily distracted. You're being very deliberate about your space. So you know you're going to lock up yourself in a room so that you're not going to be seeing persons walking by, because that will easily distract you. You might need to put in your earphones, because if you hear in any conversation or so on, that is going to distract you. You're being very deliberate about how you are doing your thing. You're doing your thing in setting up your space and doing anything that you can do as possible to block out your distractions. Those two are very, very important when you're setting up your study space in order to manage yourself as best as possible. Creating your balance. And this is where the questions I had asked earlier, how if you are eating, if you are exercising, all of those things are necessary, because it's not just about studying, right? When you are coming to campus, this is where the Department of Student Services comes into play. We want you to have the complete experience. We're not just pretending that academics are the only thing that matters. Are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you ensuring that you are educating yourself on other matters outside of your academics? And we're by no means saying that your academics are not important, but we want to ensure that you are resting. You understand what I'm saying? You see the final one there, because a lot of students are not sleeping right now. You find that you're home, you're not necessarily having to get up at 6 o'clock to go to an 8 o'clock class, that kind of thing. So I have students going to bed 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they have to get up for the class at 9 o'clock. So the whole thing has been thrown off in terms of their body clock, right? You have to create that balance where you're saying to yourself, okay, and this is where the routine comes in, folks. Remember, it's not just about managing time, you are managing yourself as best as possible. How are you creating the balance in your life? When are you going to eat? When are you going to contact your lecturer? When are you going to go over the lecture itself? When are you going to study? When are you going to make the social connections with your friends? When are you going to connect with your family if necessary? When are you going to do the things that matter to you? When are you going to make the time for your spiritual fulfillment? All of these things matter to you and to your own personal development, so that at the end of each day, at the end of each week, you should be able to say to yourself, I have touched on everything that matters the most to me, the things that have given me fulfillment. The personal relationships, your significant other or others, God forbid, but it's again, it's up to you. The things that matter most to you should have been touched, especially considering the situation here, this crisis. You should be doing your best. And I'm using should very likely because again, it's a very real situation and the crisis is affecting quite a few of us in different ways. And you may not be functioning the way you usually would have been a few weeks ago, right? So it may take greater effort from you to do these things, right? Especially those of you who are physical individuals, you're a hugger, you know, you want to see persons and connect with them in a more physical way, you know, so it might require you to create that balance in how would I say this now? Using technology, the WhatsApp, the using the Zoom, making a phone call here or there. So you're trying to make the effort to make the social connections as opposed to how you would do it in person. You understand? And the rewarding yourself. And students always laugh when I say this to them. I do not understand why. Folks, if you have done any amount of work right now during this crisis, you deserve to give yourself some credit. That is the bottom line. Give yourself some credit because these are not easy times. You certainly were not expecting the situation here. So you deserve to, if you, and I'm hoping you all have done work. Most of you have said you did some work. Kudos to you. Any amount of work you would have done these last few weeks, give yourself the credit, because productivity in times of crisis deserves credit, right? I'm not saying you should be going out there and be doing fantastic amounts of work. If you have done that, that is also amazing. But considering what is going on out there in the real world, this is a global situation, as you are all aware. Give yourself the credit. I'm not saying you must go out on the road and buy ice cream. You are still supposed to be staying home and being safe. But go and probably, those of you who have Netflix, you can watch TV, make connections with your friend. Don't watch Netflix for hours on end now, folks. But please, give yourself that break from the schoolwork. Give yourself the time to make the social connections. Spend some time talking to your significant others. Spend some time reading the word for those of you who are spiritual, that kind of thing. Reward yourself however you deem fit, in a healthy way, hopefully. Not hopefully, please make it a healthy way, so that you can, again, create that balance with everything going on. And again, I cannot say it enough. Please, 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 please get some rest for those of you who have not been doing it, so that you can feel good. You know, that rest is critical. And you all know it, even though some of you may not be doing it, the rest is critical. That's the bottom line. It doesn't make sense you're trying to do all of the above, but your rest isn't working. That output matters, and the rest assists it all. All right. So I'm going to leave. Where's that last one? It's not coming up here. That's fine. But at the end, we can give you the information again. Oh, I was leaving my information there for you all. And what I will do now is take some info, some questions or so on. So this is where I turn over to you, Christina, while I bring down these chats and so on. Let me see.